hunting, fishing, loving every day. That's a prayer that a country boy prays. Thank God he made me this way. Hunting, fishing, loving every day.
Welcome to another episode of Walleyes and Adventure throughout the Grape region.
We're here today with Captain Lane Brown and Captain Rick Carpenter. We're here to talk about spring walleye fishing. The night bite here that happens in Pennsylvania waters. Actually, it happens most waters. Probably get to talk about that. So this should be our second episode of Walleyes and Adventure in the Grape region. And so great to have you guys, Lane, Rick.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So when's this night bite start happening here in Pennsylvania?
I can't tell you how soon it starts because our season doesn't come in till first Saturday in May. First Saturday in May, it's usually getting going.
Yeah, so so we have walleyes here already. We just can't get out there to fish for them. So they're already there. You guys are, as soon as the season's open, your guys are ready to go if you got the right conditions. So what temperature of water are we typically fishing when that happens at the beginning of May?
50-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on the spring.
Yeah, high 40s, low 50s, yep.
Probably really kind of after the spawn, but the males are probably still on the reefs then, I would suppose. That you agree with that, Rick?
Yeah. Especially last year. Last year we had the best year ever up here on Lake Erie because the males were still in their spawning mode when our season came in. Usually they're past that when our season comes in, but last year they were actually still active and made our season phenomenal last year.
So how deep are you typically fishing when you're doing this night?
Oh, I mean, usually 6 to 12 foot, but don't be afraid to go out to 25 foot. I would say 6 to 25. I mean, depends on the night, but some nights are a little deeper, but most nights I would say shoot for 10 foot, give or take,
Lane, that typically what you're targeting also?
Yeah, that's where I end up targeting. I start my night out usually about 7 o'clock, usually a couple hours before dark, so that if I have people on my boat who are green, they give a chance to see what all's going on, and we'll typically stay out in 15 to 25 feet of water until it darkens up, running some deeper lures, and then we'll switch to our shallow stuff and go in closer. I like to target 10 feet.
Good. I know this is typically most guys are trolling doing this. You guys ever do any other presentations at night other than trolling?
No, I'm trolling all the time with it.
Both.
Yeah, I do not either. I see other guys, but not me.
So Lane, what's the typical rig you're running? You run big boards, inline boards?
I'm running inline boards with T-lights on them.
Okay.
Lights made by Lake Effect 3D.
Yeah, Ryan makes some nice stuff.
I see guys running big boards. I'm a little board guy. I like little boards.
What kind of baits are you running?
When I start in the daylight, I'll be running something that a deep diver in a little deeper water. But when I push into 10 feet, I'm running all shallow divers at that point. I like bay rats, shallow diving bay rats, and I like Renoskis. I actually did a little competition last year with the sides of my boat, and it was about a dead heat between shallow diving bay rats and Renoskis.
Nice. What kind of line are you running?
I'm running Berkeley Big Game 15-pound test.
Okay. Mono.
Yeah, mono.
Mono with crankbaits.
I know Rick runs a little different program than I do too.
What are you running?
I mean, not a whole lot different. We run inline boards. Unless we're out in 25 feet. If we're in 25 feet, we're pulling, deep diving cranks. We will put the big boards out just because you're kind of out there by yourself. There's not much boat traffic, so you can get away with the big boards. And the cranks are pulling a lot harder. It's just easier to run the big boards. But typically we're running inline boards with Lake Effect 3D lights on them. And on my big boat, we're running the 17-pound XT mono. And we will, though, I know a lot of guys don't do it, but we'll run deep diving plugs behind those inline boards at 10, maybe 15 feet behind the board and that's very effective some nights if the fish are aggressive. If the fish aren't as aggressive, we're definitely running shallow diving. We run a lot of the long A bombers, shallow divers, Renoskis, bay rats, but we usually have one side with deep diving flicker minnows on them, either size 9 or 11. And like I said, we're only running those, 10, 15, maybe 20 feet behind the board, depending on depth of water. But if the fish are aggressive, don't be afraid because they like that action of a deep dive.
So I guess if somebody new coming there, I've never done this, but I got a tackle box full of crankbaits. It sounds to me if you can get your crankbait into the right water depth, you probably have the baits you need already if you fish small lakes or even if you're fishing summertime out in the deeper water. You probably have the right baits. It's just about getting them in the right water depth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, if the fish are aggressive, bait with a lot of action is usually the way to go. But them nights where they're not aggressive, that's where we really like the bombers because they don't have much action. They just kind of swim through the water, and seems like that entices the bite a lot better. But like I said, it just depends on the night what we run, and we start out usually with a little bit of everything, see what works, and then go from there.
Do you think profile of a big key to the bait you pick, like bigger profiles versus smaller profiles? How's at night? 'Cause I mean, you're trying the fish has got to be able to. If you can't see it, it can't hit it. Do you think do you see an advantage over a bigger bait sometimes?
Well, yes, there's times, yeah, a bigger bait works better. But like the old saying is, you got to match the hatch, and that goes for night fishing as far as day fishing. It's you got to kind of figure out what they're feeding on and match that. And there's nights that we run the 3.5 inch bay rats, and there's nights that we don't run the 3.5 inch bay rats. Sometimes they like the smaller profile, other times they don't, and you just got to figure out what they want on that night.
Fishing's fishing.
Yeah,
You got to. If it isn't working, keep trying something different until you find out what works.
that's right. That's right.
So Lane, we're out there. I can only imagine. Pennsylvania waters and Lake Erie, especially like Ohio line up to the Presque Isle. It's uh, it's a fairly gradual taper from the shoreline going out into deep water, and contours don't change really rapidly. Pretty much a straight line. I can only imagine that somebody puts a report out that the fish are in 15 feet of water. Everybody out there is probably fighting for that 15 foot of water. How do you guys keep from running into each other out there at night?
That's the challenge. So night fishing is my favorite way to fish for walleye, but that is the challenge. And I would say the biggest way to conquer that challenge is if guys would just quit running glow sticks and things like that on your boards, and go ahead and get the lights, red and green lights for your boards, because then you can quickly see whether a boat is coming, whether he's going, whether you're catching him. I can see a boat far ahead of me because I can see this big spread of green lights on one side and red lights on the other. And then I can start to take evasive action to miss that guy sooner. Otherwise, if you're just coming on to a bunch of lights and you don't know if the guy's coming, going, if he's going left, right, or what he's doing. And it is tough.
That makes good sense. And it's like having so you get like I know we've talked about lake effects. You can get those lake effect lights in red and green. So you just match them up with your lights on your boat. So you got starboard and port side the correct lights on there, and you can aim at them. Just something with that. I know when I was going through charter captain school, one of the biggest things I learned, something that really stuck with me, and I'm sure it would really help. If you have a boat coming at you, and say it's a quarter mile away or something like that, and you're definitely going towards each other, instead of gradually just trying to move away from that or change your line, make a drastic change so that boat coming at you can actually tell that you made a maneuver, you made that invasive maneuver, and he knows what you're doing. That's really helpful in the day. I'm sure that would help at night, not make that big move to get away from each other.
Well, you're doing the other guy a favor by being well lit up on both sides with colored lights, and you're also doing yourself a favor because you want that other guy to be able to see you and be able to know what you're doing and maybe do his little part of taking evasive action as well. So you don't have to make that big radical move because he's not being any help. Or he might be some help if he knows which way you're going.
Exactly. Night, you don't have maybe quite as many boats as you do in the daytime. The scariest part of doing a night fishing thing is, the unknown is like, trying to keep away from each other and trying not to get tangled up. But it's also the same thing happens in the daytime. A buddy of mine was a big cat fisherman. He used to fish down on the river at night. And if he saw a camp on the other side of the river turn a porch light on, he would basically freak out thinking all those fish are going to get spooked by that porch light coming on. So, and I know I've heard walleye fishermen talk about lights on the boat being, spooking fish. Is that, Rick, do you find that the lights on the boat, like the house lights and, maybe headlamps and stuff like that, spook the fish, or what's your opinion on it?
Well, everybody has their own opinion on that. And I'll tell you what mine is, that light doesn't bother them one bit. I mean, if you've got a bright headlamp and you're shining it right underneath you, well, that might. But, I mean, when we're catching fish, we're netting fish, we've got the lights on top, the hard top on, shining over the back of the boat so we can see the fish coming in, and we're catching fish while those lights are on. We are also, we have headlamps on also, but in my opinion, a lot of that light doesn't bother them fish. We actually fish a local lake here at night, and half of those boats hang a lantern over the side of their boat when they're fishing at night. So some people say yes, some people say no. If it makes you feel better, if you don't, then do it that way. If you don't think it matters, then it doesn't matter. It's all personal preference, I think.
Yeah, I would think it'd be, you could go out there and get a fish on your line, but if you can't see them to put them in the net, what good is it? If you lose them at the back of the boat, what do you think about that, Lane?
Well,
What's your opinion on
I
lights?
did bring a light with me, just to show. I carry this on my boat, and I can't even tell you the name of it. Bought it off Amazon, but extremely bright and extremely narrow beamed, and that's the one light I use for netting fish. And other than that, we don't have anything on in my boat. I like it dark.
Okay.
So I guess I'm the other guy. I like my boat dark, and partly it's for my own eyes. It's a personal preference thing. I just don't like a bunch of headlamps shining in my eyes every time I turn my head. I like the guys to have headlamps, and I do have some under gunnel lights, some blue ones on my boat that can put out some ambient light so we can see it. Not to hook ourselves, but I really don't like a lot of light shining in the water.
Yeah. And I can see the part where if you do have lights on the boat and shining out, once you use them, you lose your night vision, and you could, you're not going to be able to see as well. See that boat's out in front of you and stuff. I could see that too. You get blinded by too much light too. So yeah, that all makes good sense.
That's absolutely on our drive back in, especially like to have all the lights out, except for what I need to be legal to be running. Because my night vision is so much better without all that happening.
Absolutely, especially boats like ours where you're looking through glass. Yeah, that you definitely got to have it dark when you.
It's not helping to have anybody out there shining a light in front of your boat. No, it's hurting you.
You mount an LED light on the front of your boat, that's just because you're afraid of the dark. I mean, it's. I have a spotlight on the top of my boat, and that's for coming in the channel. You turn that on to see where the wall's at, and that's the only time you use it.
So with that, let's say do anything special so you can find your way back.
Well, I mean, everybody's got GPS, and now I know Lane, he fishes to the east, and I fish to the west. And when I'm coming back in, the city of Erie lights my way. I can see because the city lights, I'm running towards them, so that lights my way. I can see the water, and also, all the boats are 25 foot or shallower. So go out to 35 foot. Do not try and run back through 15 foot of water. Go out to 35 foot of water, run down to your back to where you got to go, and then cut in. Do not try and come down 15 foot of water at 30 mile an hour through all those boats. That's, you got to just use your head on that. Run out 35 foot where nobody's at, and then come back to where you come from.
Yeah, that makes good sense. Lane?
Not a whole lot, Dad. Rick touched on the big one. Get out of traffic. stay out of the way, and keep it slowed down. You're out there for fun. You don't have to go 40.
Right.
Now for some hot tips from our sponsor, Mike's Walleye Rigs.
This episode's hot tip is turning down the screen brightness on your depth finder or display when it's dark out. When, say, you're out night fishing, and if you leave your depth finder on the highest brightness for your backlight, you won't be able to see past it. It's really hard to navigate with that bright light in your eye, just like your car. If you have your car's interior lights really bright, you can't see past them. And every depth finder out there is a control to dim those things down. And I'm a Lowrance guy. It's an easy push the power button and the menu comes up and you can slide the power down on your brightness and so you can see at night. And did a quick Google search, and it looks like Humminbird and Garmin, they all start the same way. Push the power button and the menu will take you from there where you got to go to turn the backlight down on your unit. Definitely something you want to do before you get out there or while you're out in the daylight. Try to figure that out and not wait till the last minute to be able to turn that backlight down. Just be prepared. Another hot tip is if you leave it down and you go out the next time you go out to the lake and it's in the daytime and it's really bright sunshine out and you turn your unit on, it may be black. And if it is, you can't see what to push to get it back so you can see it. So the only way I've ever been able to find out how to do it is basically just take a jacket and put over my head and the unit and you can see this display again. It's best if you turn it back before you shut it down, put the display back to daylight viewing. Mike with Mike's Walleye Rigs.
You guys, make sure you put waypoints down at the marina or have a track that you can follow back in.
Wherever I go fishing, as soon as the boat gets in the water, there's a waypoint there with an exit sign. That's definitely the first thing you do on a new body of water or where you fish every day.
We'll start with you, Lane. If I'm coming up to the lake for the first time, we'll just say I fished small waters, maybe like I've been to Lake Erie for the first time and I'm going to night fish up there. What would you say are the basic things that I need to have with me?
Well, I think it's more than what you need to have with you. I think you first need to start off not making that be your first trip. I think you need to get out there and at least learn the body of water a little bit so you're not running yourself up on shallow ground or something in the dark. Get some of those tracks on there that Rick's talking about. You're definitely going to need the lights we've been talking about. You're going to be choosing big boards, small boards.
Is boards necessary? Are they 100% necessary?
They are not, but they are definitely going to improve your catch rate.
Hey, I know a lot of people that don't use planer boards that long line, and hey, they catch fish. It works, but like Lane says, long line out the side, you're maybe going to get 4 rods out. Where running planer boards, you can put as many out there as you want.
Yeah, you're definitely running skinny water, so you are going to spook some fish.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, that's another thing. I don't think the motor noise spooks them much because I'm running a 9.9 kicker. And we catch them in the prop wash all the time. Are some fish spooky of it? Yes, I would say that. But I can literally put a plug out behind my boat 25 or 35 feet and catch a fish in the prop wash. So there's fish that aren't. And I know a lot of guys that just run right behind the boat and they do fine.
One thing we didn't mention there was a stern planer. Mm-hmm. I don't know if everybody knows what a stern planer is, but you can let your line out to your desired length, hook the stern planer on, and then just sit it up in an overhead rack. Mm-hmm. And it just gets you one more line out, and it's way out behind your boat. That's an opportunity to get one more line out at night.
Yeah, but night fishing, though, my only thing with that is if you're fishing a lot of boat traffic, everybody knows, well, that guy's only running 80 foot of line behind his boards and goes to cut behind you and doesn't know that stern planer's back there. That could get things in trouble.
It can get you in trouble. It's by the same token, you got to tighten up your spread when there's a million guys out there.
There's something to be said about that, Lane. I tell guys that all the time. Hey, if you're fishing a lot of boats, bring them boards right in. Don't run a big spread. You can turn a lot better, and it's just way easier if you don't put them 100 feet out the side. I hate that when guys have them so far out. You're looking at their boat, and like you say, you go buy them, and their planer board goes right past your boat, and you're thinking, "Holy cow! Like where'd that come from?" Yeah. And, it's 100 feet off the side of his boat. There's no call for that.
So what would you say is the bare minimum?
If you're on a budget and you're starting out, you don't even need a line counter reel. I mean, if you're just starting out and you want to go do it, you go out there with a spinning rod and whatever. You can go out there with a Rapala, an F11 Rapala out of an old toolbox, and I mean, you're going to catch something, I'm sure. It's the fishing's good. The fishing is good, and just toss it out, estimate how far you are, count the wraps coming off, pull the line out manually off your reel, count 20 tugs off of it, arm lengths, and go with that. If you're catching fish at that, then do it the same on the other side. And just long lining behind you, you don't have to be a millionaire to do it. Anybody can go out and do it. There's a lot of kayak fishermen out there nowadays, a lot. Though, they are well lit. A lot of them. A lot of them are well lit, but there are a lot of kayak fishermen out there, and they're just paddling along with a line dragging behind them. And, the only thing with that is if you got a kayak, stay away from the mouth of the creek where all the boats are coming in. You always have that one guy that wants to fish right there in a kayak where the boats are coming in. But other than that, I mean, get a kayak. You can do it in a kayak. Just throw it out behind you and paddle along. There's a lot of people out there doing it. Like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money to get into it.
I'm kind of hoping that one guy that likes to fish and trout run gets to see this podcast, because he lets you with your big spread of lines out there get up within about 100 feet, and then he'll light his lights on his boat. And it's like, holy crap, what do I do?
Yeah.
But he's there often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, somebody was intimidated by, Lake Erie, and you're running a boat, 14 or 16 footer, say down on Wilhelm, Pymatuming or whatever. That early time of the year, from May through June, if you watch the weather, you really don't go out. You see anything more than 2 foot or less on the uh, NOAA's weather wave report, don't go. But if you pick your days, with that's the time of the year the lake's usually pretty calm, and where we're talking about fishing for the most part wouldn't be much different than driving across the width of Pymatuming or Lake Wilhelm. You're not really that far offshore. So if you're intimidated by Lake Erie, that's the time of the year to get out there and do it. One of them fish are still in there real close. And you don't need, you need to have the right safety gear. There's requirements like having flares and stuff like that on your boat. But you don't, you know, you can definitely do it in a smaller rig than you don't have to have a 25-foot boat and big high side. But, you just got to be careful. But it's doable. And I would, if you're really intimidated, if there is a wind at all, don't fish the south wind. That's the one that's going to get a small boat in trouble. If you're going out, this is daytime or at night. If you got a south wind, that's the one that you're going to tend to ride with the waves. You're just going to keep going out farther and farther. And then if you do and you do find it's rough, then you got to fight the waves back in. But if you got a north wind or west, typical west wind, just go upwind and work your way back towards the shore. Towards the launch ramp. It's a lot of south.
Well, I agree with that, except for what we're doing at night. You want a south wind because we are right on the shoreline. And if it's a south wind, you're not out far enough. The wind's going to matter because you're not getting any wave action out of it. But I understand what you're saying. But what we're doing at night out there, boy, if I look and it's a south wind at 15, I'm going. That doesn't affect you because you're only 300 yards offshore.
Yeah, before like 15 mile an hour south wind's you're gonna get any kind of waves. You're gonna have to be probably a mile and a half offshore, and you're probably talking a few hundred yards offshore. Most of Pennsylvania waters, you're gonna have a pretty good wind break for the whole shoreline, and with a south wind. So that's more like a midsummer thing when you're going to be out maybe 40 feet plus. You're going to start getting out into that couple miles offshore. That's when you're going to, you're always wanting to run with the waves, so you can it can lull you out into the deeper water and bigger waves. But this isn't really this nighttime thing made for June. That isn't really, or even daytime. That's really not the case. You're usually inside that 45-foot mark, so it's a good time to be up at the lake.
Another thing for these new guys starting out, like like anything that can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. So the worst possible time is at night in a boat and in bad weather. You know, just be super smart on that when you choose to go. And you're going to need to know your equipment, your boat, and the equipment you're fishing with really well. If you don't know it really well, just stick to daytime till you learn it. It's just going to get you in trouble out there.
Absolutely. And we, to be honest with you, at night, I mean, we don't go unless it's nice. I mean, if there's 2 to 3 footers,
Right.
I'm not going out at night. And, you know, during the day, our boats, they handle that just fine. But at night, it's no fun at night. You know, it's no fun at night out there if you're in rough water. But most of the time, it's calm at night when we're out there fishing. But absolutely, Lane, it's no place to be out there in the dark when it's rough.
Rick pointed out that a guy can do this kind of on the cheap too. And I would point out that when we're throwing shallow diving lures and stuff out there, there's not a whole lot of difference in their depth dive from 20 to 40 feet. So the line counter reels they're nice for us to have. They keep you from having some tangles. But to remember, I mean, Rick and I have got customers on board, and we need to boat 24 or 30 or 36 fish or whatever. And you're out there with a couple friends. You're just learning. If you catch a half a dozen, you've had fun.
Yeah.
Go out and just get in the water and have fun.
Absolutely. And if we don't have clients, you see me all the time, Lane. I'm in my 17-foot boat. You know, it's a lot funner in a smaller boat because you're a lot more maneuverable. You know, if you're only needing 6, 12 fish, yeah, you put 6 lines out there, you and a buddy kick back, and it's an enjoyable night. Yeah.
We are definitely in the good old days on Lake Erie. I mean, there was some great years back in the 80s, but the system is full of walleyes right now. If you're nearby here, it's time to capitalize on it. If you want to get into it, love to fish, you're probably not going to find a better fishery in the world right now for walleyes. So, anything you want to add?
Well, the only thing is, like, we fish right now. We're fishing Pymatuming Reservoir. It's on the border of Pennsylvania and Ohio, so they follow Ohio regulations. We are allowed to fish for walleyes right now there, and it is happening. It's starting right now. They are starting to spawn. We had my boat out Tuesday. We didn't do very well. We had a little scouting mission, first trip of the year. We had a couple bites, didn't boat any. But this week, we're going to be on the water quite a bit. It's be happening this week, starting for the whole month till about April, first week of April. And then once they get done spawning out there, it's a lot different game. But right now, they'll be in shallow. Any kind of gravel shoals, any humps, anything like that, they're going to come up onto spawn. We typically like trolling at night in anywhere from 3, 4 foot of water, 5 foot of water. A lot of guys cast. They'll cast for them. A lot of guys jig for them. If you go south of the causeway towards Jamestown, it looks like Christmas lights. I mean, there's so many boats. That's all you see is red and green lights down there. And any hump, they're not hard to find. Look for some boats, you know, and just get on a hump and start casting, jigging. I know people throw rattle traps. They throw rapalas. They throw twister tails and jig heads. They jig with vibratos. You name it. They're catching them out there. And it's a blast. And it's so much fun that we look forward to it every year. Everybody calls us stupid because we're out there in our snowmobile suits and it's snowing and blowing, but we're catching fish. The back of the boat's icy. We love it. It's a good time.
So I think we have this kind of bite in almost every body of water that has walleyes in it probably has this night bite going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When they're spawning, that's the time.
Anything you want to add, or you think we missed
one thing we missed was telling the guys that if you want to really enjoy your night, pick a weeknight. If you're a rookie, man, don't pile out there on a Friday or Saturday because it's going to be ugly. And those guys out there isn't as many guys as there is in the summer, but they're all looking for the same little stretch of water that you are. So
me and Lane fish 2 different ways. He fishes where all the people are. I do not. I'll find my own fish. Yeah. I'm not good with crowds. We run and find our own fish, and we do very well. like I said, if you're starting out, yeah, I mean, go with all the other guys, but don't be afraid to get out on your own. There's fish the whole way down the shoreline. Yeah, we tend not to go where everybody else goes.
I actually joined you down there last year, Rick. I couldn't take it anymore. I mean,
After talking to you last year, you said you never left the wheelhouse one time, and I turned around and went, "What fun would that?"
yeah,
You
no,
know, like nah, I'm not that kind of guy. We get out there, and yeah, I like fishing where there's no boats.
what you're saying there, though, that's another point. We're always supposed to have an observer watching out around the front of our boat.
Yes,
but it's 3 times more important at night.
It's
because something will get you. I guess I'll leave you with one quick little fun story.
Sure.
Not everybody out there really knows what's going on. I was clear down past Virginia Beach, which is a 10-mile, almost to Ohio, and it got dark just as I was coming by Virginia Beach, and these girls, they were like late teens, early 20s in kayaks, come off the shore. My boat was well lit, all these green lights over there on the side, and they were just paddling furiously. And they got right out in the middle of my spread, and I put my arms up. I said, "Girls, really? You got a whole lake here?" And she looked at me. She said, "So are those yours?" It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they came black blonde.
Yeah, they're not all fishermen out there, so yeah, you definitely got to be. Same thing happens in the daylight too. You just got to be careful. You know, crazy things happen. You got to be right on it. So.
You got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah, Lane. If I wanted to book a charter with you, why don't you give me your where would I go to book a charter? What's the name of your charter again?
God's Grace Sport Fishing.
Okay.
And phone number's 814-671-3035. Or you can find me on Facebook either under my name or under God's Grace Sport Fishing.
Nice. Rick?
You can find us at misfitcharters.com. We're on Facebook under Misfit Charters. Phone number is 814-720-1171. We start fishing first Saturday in May till mid-September.
Nice. I'll make sure I put links to both of you guys' charter business in the comments below. And I really appreciate you guys coming on to Walleyes and Adventure throughout the Grape region. I appreciate you guys. It's I'll throw it out there. We all fish out of Walnut Creek area. We're just west of Presque Isle, and got a lot of great charter captains out of there, and it's a great time up there. So appreciate you all, and looking forward to getting out on the water. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Mike here with the Faith Thought. Lately, I've been giving a lot of thought to how I spend my time. My entire life, I've been an avid fisherman, sportsman, gained vast knowledge on the outdoors and hunting and fishing, lots of experiences and adventures, trophies from all the show from them adventures, lots of gear acquired. But how does this all serve the Lord? It's easy to feel like I'm serving the Lord when I'm up on stage playing my guitar and singing and leading worship songs, but how does fishing serve the Lord? Romans 12:4-8 says this, For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same functions. So we, though many, are one body in Christ, and individual members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith. If service, in serving. The one who teaches, in his teaching. The one who exhorts, in his exhortation. The one who contributes, in generosity. The one who leads, with zeal. The one who does acts of mercy, with cheerfulness. We've all been given unique gifts and abilities. I believe we are all to use the gifts and abilities with passion to serve the body of Christ. This could be from volunteering in a charitable fishing event, such as Fishing for a Wish, or you could have a fish fry and use your hospitality to share in the bounty. Or you could even use the time to teach your kids the value of life. There are lots of opportunities to share your gift in God's creation while doing what you love in the great outdoors. Take time to share it with someone. Don't miss the opportunity. You will receive the greater blessing. Until we meet again, may your nets be full and your adventures be great. Hunting, fishing, loving every day. That's a prayer that a country boy prays. Thank God he made me this way. Hunting, fishing, loving every day. Early in the morning, late in the evening, I'm getting red dirt rich, Flint River paid. Hunting, fishing, loving every day.